heading on toward the hurricane. So here's the close-up shot of the radar, and we see that the eye wall is right there over San Jose Island. So this island here is San Jose Island. This island here is Matagorda Island to the north, and that's Mustang Island to the south. So it's the eye wall is now ashore on San Jose Island, and it's going to go across Aransas Sound and into the Rockport area. Is going to get nailed by this hurricane here, and it is imminent as it moves on in. Let's look at the 3D view, where what the computer does is it looks at the most intense parts of the returns from the radar and then makes them vertical like that. And the higher they are, the more intense they are. And you can see that intense eye wall is just over the barrier island there. We can also see that, let me maneuver this a little bit, and I want to show you where Mike Seidel is there, back in Port O'Connor, and see Port O'Connor there, and then he's in Port Lavaca. So let me show you where that is. That's right there. Okay, keep an eye on that spot there. And then we move this back, and you'll see that there's a band here just outside the eye wall, and another one, and there's a broken one about Port Lavaca right now. So kind of a neat thing that we can use this radar to really see where these enhanced bands are. Now compare that here to Corpus Christi, and you see that the yellows here are well outside of Corpus Christi, and so where Jim Cantore is, these yellows here are going to come around. They're not done with this by any means, but the hurricane is edging slowly farther away from Corpus Christi as it heads a little bit of an angle off to the northeast. So as we saw, so let's reorient you here now. Matagorda Island to the north, San Jose Island to the south. The eye wall of the hurricane is right here. So here's the onshore push of water here, and that is going to push water here into Matagorda Bay, into Aransas Bay, and when the wind direction comes from the south, it's going to push it up toward Port Lavaca, and that's why I say Mike Seidel is going to need that high elevation there, and that's why the National Hurricane Center, see the reds up in here, reds up in here, reds all around here. That's 9 to 12 feet above ground for the water with waves on top of that. Port Lavaca is a high place, so that's why that's why you see the blues kind of under Port Lavaca there. So maybe 1 to 3 feet above ground is seems to be the reasonable worst case for Port Lavaca. All right, let's we've talked so much with justification about this imminent landfall, but we cannot forget that this storm is forecast to move very slowly inland, so that it's somewhere in the vicinity, plus or minus, of Victoria tomorrow afternoon. So the idea is this is going to slow down significantly, and this rain is going to continue. That's tomorrow. Now look at this. Still, the model indication is that it's going to stay in this general area of the coastal band of Texas, maybe up toward Houston. Don't look at the exact line. That's not what's important. What's important is it's going to continue to rain in an area around the hurricane and to the east, and that rain is going to continue, the best that we know, all the way into the middle of next week, and perhaps even more than that. Still forecasting incredible rain amounts, disastrously flooding rain, we think, in Texas. All right, back to Jim Cantore in Corpus Christi. Jim, take it away, top of the hour.
All right, Brian, we got some hurricane force gusts here, and we continue to see the winds now still up 50, 65 miles per hour here. This may be what we're going to get with here in Corpus Christi. Guys, please take the mix minus out of my ear. Please do that if you're back at the Weather Channel. Thank you. All right, stick around, guys. We got much more coming up. Mike Seidel is going to join us as well as we begin a new hour here on the Weather Channel. We're not going to give up with Harvey. We got crews all over Texas and even Louisiana pre-positioned to cover this thing for you as we continue to watch it roll in tonight. Really looking at the radar here, it looks like Rockport is going to absolutely take it on the chin. The last gust we've had at Rockport is 83 miles per hour. 83 miles per hour. They are just about to get in to the eye wall in Rockport as this thing continues to just drift to the north. So moving slow now, as Brian said. It looks like it's going to just make its way inland, maybe as far west as Victoria, which isn't very far west at all. It's about maybe 50 miles or so, if you will, from the coastline, from the exact coastline. But then it takes a turn and starts to head back or drift back, as is in the case in through here. Meanwhile, all these areas start getting rain later tonight. San Antonio, they're already getting it in some places. San Antonio, Austin, up in toward Houston area, the Houston metropolitan area getting as well. So we have to watch this. Multiple floods are possible for the city of Houston. We just don't know how this is all going to play out. It's unforecastable by the computer models to tell us exactly where these bands are going to set up. Again, guys, my producer Steve Peterak did go down. And look at the Enterprise. It's right there. The Enterprise roof collapse, as was reported. It's really kind of an awning, it looks like, that has collapsed, a metal awning that has collapsed, as opposed to an entire infrastructure concrete roof. So I wanted to report that to you. That's what we've got. We do have some street signs that have come down as well. We can actually show you some video of that maybe a little bit later on. But you know what? Think about the wind it takes to push over a street sign, a heavy street sign. It takes a lot of energy. So we've had hurricane force gusts here in Corpus Christi, but this will not be Celia like we had back in 1970 with 125. All right, let's go up the road a piece by about an hour as the crow flies, or as you get on the roads. This is Mike Seidel in Port Lavaca. Mike, I guess the biggest thing that you've noticed is a little increase in the wind, but more of an increase in the water, right?
Yeah, the water is really now piling up here. This is Lavaca Bay out here, and get a sense of these waves now just coming over, and the seawall's just about been covered up. You can't see it anymore. There was plenty of seawall earlier. This is the front patio, and the wind picking up the water off the top of the waves. This whole area now underwater. It'll be interesting to see how high the water does rise. It's already come up at least 2 to 3 feet, I would estimate. That's not official, but estimation. And the rainfall I mentioned earlier, I just added up the rainfall just today alone. Since this morning, we've had about 3.13, if my math is right, 3.13 inches since this morning. We had another 7/10 of an inch last night, so we're almost to 4 inches of rain, and we have got a long way to go. I mean, we've got all night tonight and tomorrow, and then we're going to have rain into the middle part of next week. So you can just imagine the rainfall totals when we've already almost had 4 inches, and we haven't even taken the brunt in those bands around the eye wall, the outer eye wall, where you get the really heavy rainfall rates of 2 to 3 inches an hour. The winds here sustained about 35 miles an hour. We've got some protection. I want to show you, I've gotten a lot of text and talk on social media. Be safe. Are you going to be okay? We are. This balcony, we're about 15 to 16 feet above the water level. This hotel was built 6 years ago, and when you build a hotel here in Port Lavaca, near the Gulf of Mexico, right here off the Lavaca Bay, you know you've got to build it sturdy, and they did all they could. This is concrete block here, steel, hard to get a cell phone call out of your room, and then the first level is actually there's no rooms there, and that's hardy plank, and they've got some walls that can blow away, but that's for safety purposes. But there's nothing hanging out here. We don't have any signs hanging that would cause us to be concerned about things blowing around. Now, if you look across Lavaca Bay, there's refineries over there at Port Comfort. I don't know if you can see the lights in the distance, but a sure sign that the power is still on here in this part of Calhoun County, which was under a mandatory evacuation as of late morning. Rainfall now not particularly heavy, but we keep an eye on the radar. And again, the worst is yet to come as far as the heaviest rain and the gusty winds here in Port Lavaca. Jim, Port O'Connor out there on the water on the barrier island, along with Port Aransas Pass, Rockport, all those areas are going to get clobbered, even up towards Palacios. And it'll be interesting to see how high the winds gust in Victoria, because they've already gusted to nearly 50 miles an hour, well ahead of what could be an eye going over Victoria early Saturday morning. Reynolds Wolf will be live on the Weather Channel starting a little after midnight in Victoria. So we'll have the pictures from there. Jim, let me send it back to you in Corpus as we go to darkness here. We get dark here in the area around Port Lavaca. Let's hope the power stays on for everyone tonight, but it seems unlikely that it will.
Michael, we appreciate that report. Again, guys, we're kind of teetering here. We've been very steady, very consistent with 50, 60 mile per hour winds, gust occasionally to hurricane force here in Corpus Christi. And this may be some of our worst weather, okay? Especially now as we see the storm heading north. Eye wall looks like it's going to go right in toward Rockport. Let's get the latest on some of the trends that we're seeing with this as this hurricane is going to be making its way ashore. I want to bring in a hurricane expert, Dr. Rick Knabb, to talk about this. Dr. Rick, last night, if you were a betting man, did you think that tonight we'd be talking about a landfalling Cat 4?
Well, we were talking about the possibility because yesterday morning when the forecast from the Hurricane Center changed upward after it rapidly intensified as a tropical storm, and the forecast for tonight was for Cat 3, we were talking last night about the possibility of something a little stronger in Cat 4. So a couple of days ago, certainly weren't expecting this, but yesterday this looked like a distinct possibility.
Right. So what are you seeing now on the radar? I mean, we're starting to get into some of this outer eye wall, aren't we, down around near Rockport and Port Aransas?
Yes, we are. You know, again, the landfall of a hurricane is not the landfall of the outer eye wall. If we look at where the center of the hurricane is, when that crosses the coast, that's when you've got landfall of the hurricane itself. But we do have the northwestern eye wall on land already on San Jose Island, and that is headed toward Rockport. Now, again, the maximum storm surge and the strong gust winds might very well be on the right side of the hurricane to the north of wherever it is the dead center comes ashore. So points north from Rockport northward are likely to experience the greatest storm surge. In Corpus Christi, however,